Okay.
No, it's pretty much about the history of movies and the history of like pretty much everything in a sense because it's a
Mm-hmm.
group PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. So, so you want to work on the actresses portion, Michelle?
That's the one that I want to work on. And I am not a movie buff. I do like movies, but I really know very little about movies.
There's so many great actors and actresses.
There are.
Yeah. Yeah. There truly are. And the interesting thing is that they're doing now digital versions of, they're creating digital assets so that they won't have to hire actors so much anymore or depend on them. They've been really working on that technology to try to get, the skin tone and the movement and everything so that they won't have to pay all these exorbitant salaries to actors. They'll just have a digital, workforce. So that's another interesting take on it. Although I don't like any of the ones that they do. You never get the warmth. You never get what a human being can bring to it.
Is that like the equivalent to self checkout in McDonald's?
Yeah, that's a good.
Well, they have a lot of sequences that they already use CGI in, like all those
Mhm.
action movies, like Scarlett Johansson, those kind of movies,
Mhm.
Marvel especially, those kind. And they do a lot of acting in front of green screens, and then they piece it all together. I don't really know too much about the technology. Maybe Maureen knows more, but
But that's exactly what they do for a
yeah.
lot of it. Yeah. Um, and and so yeah, they want to be able to reuse some of these digital pieces. They cost a lot of money. It does cost a lot to create that stuff. But actual the what is it, the Toy Story, the guy who Pixar is a big company who's creating live action kind of stuff with actors. That's really interesting aspect too. But there are so many great actors and actresses and
Billy Crystal, Meryl Streep,
oh yeah.
I could
Robert
go
De
after it from
Niro.
the aspect of Oscar winners, and I could also go after it from the aspect of different kinds of acting in movie, like, comedy versus drama versus action, that kind of thing. What do you think
Right.
I should do?
um
Actors and actresses, it's a big category.
Yes.
So I would do a little bit of both, a little bit of people that have been nominated that are very famous,
hmm
Right.
and then you
Okay.
could do some that aren't nominated. Like
hmm
as an example, Adam Sandler. He's like a
yeah.
great comedian. Like
Well, lately he
Uncut.
changed genres, didn't he?
He
No,
did.
he's still in comedy, but Uncut Gems was his like real dramatic film.
Right. And if you are doing sort of the history of it, you can also approach it from that angle where acting styles have changed over the years. And as the technology advanced, the acting styles could become more subtle, from going to the silent screen to completely different style of actor, and how a lot of silent screen actors didn't transfer into um, movies with sound because their voices weren't didn't match their persona or whatever. So yeah, you can approach it from a lot of different angles.
Interesting.
Because like Jack Nicholson, he's a great comedian, but he's also won some Oscars.
Right. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Maybe you could talk about actors that also like fell out of the spotlight, like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Yeah. Um
And maybe why? Like, why do why maybe like some actors they just I don't know, maybe they're just doing something wrong.
or some of them may not want to be back into the field either. Or a lot of them, if they've made a lot of money, maybe they don't, sometimes they get behind the camera, sometimes they start originating stories of their
Like
own.
like
Yeah.
Ron Howard, he started as an actor, but now he's behind the scenes.
And brilliant. And I
Same with
think,
Clint Eastwood.
yeah, both of them,
Can I
brilliant
ask,
directors.
can I ask you a question, Ann?
Oh, yes.
So like you've worked on like big movies with like um with like big movie sets and all that.
I have worked on movie sets, yeah. No, again, not recently.
Was it hard for you to break into the industry?
Everybody's journey is different, and I kind of fell into a lot of stuff, and other people that are extremely talented work all their lives, don't necessarily get the same break. It just all depends. Um, a lot on who you meet and who
I was gonna
sort of
say,
mentors you, and yeah.
I was gonna mention a part of sometimes of success is connections.
Connections are a big part of it. Yeah, they're a
Sorry.
very, very big part of it in the industry, because when you're working on it, and every show's different how they manage it, but sometimes a show will really try to promote people from within, like people who start out as extras, and they'll, like on our show, Carol O'Connor did that. He really supported actors in coming forward. Not every show's like that. He really launched a lot of people's careers and really helped with moving them forward.
Like
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, he started on The Voyage of the Mimi. You ever saw that TV show?
The Voyage of the Mimi?
I
haven't heard.
Me
I
neither.
think I said it correctly.
Yeah.
Like, that's where he started his fame.
Oh, because Good Will Hunting is where I first became aware of Ben Affleck.
Well, that's when he was like older, but when he was a kid, he was in Voyage of the Mimi.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know about that.
And Christian Bale was in, when he was a young kid, it was under like this World War II movie. I forget the name of the title. Something Sun. Like, that's how he started as well.
Yeah, was it Red Sun or something? Yeah, he was brilliant in that. That was a Steven Spielberg movie too, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. Empire of the Sun.
Yes.
That
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Empire of the
See,
Sun.
I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because the other thing is, are you talking about actors over time, or just the best actors now, or
No, just generic
It's
on
just
actors.
generic.
Yeah.
Like I could go over like 100 different director style, but I'm only picking like 10, maybe 6.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Oh,
so
okay.
far you've given me some great ideas about actors. So, like actors who changed genres, actors who were now are a has-been, like Nicolas Cage, fell out of sight for what reason we don't know, but I can look it up. Actors who are Oscar winners, like Meryl Streep. Just and actors who go out of acting and start directing, like Ron Howard and Clint Eastwood, and then also actors who've just made a career of it, like Ben Affleck.
Right, right. And Ben Affleck actually won an Oscar for Argo, and he's
Right.
behind as well. So he and Brad Pitt, he has
Correct.
a company, Plan B. So a lot of actors are taking more control of their careers and of the content, that so that they can have opportunities, and they're not relying as much on the studios or casting directors getting them jobs.
Have you ever
But
worked? Oh, I'm sorry.
Like, did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I did.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was very interesting. It was a little jarring in that it changed history so much, but yeah, it was a really interesting film.
Yes,
did
I
you think
agree.
of it?
I agree. It was interesting. A little slow, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Brad, the way they did Brad Pitt did himself was like worthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really inventive. I'll put it that way. The whole conceptualizing of these two actors, and I guess it was based on an actual relationship between an actor and his stuntman.
Correct.
And so those are always interesting. I always love to, explore those kind of stories. But that's even Brad Pitt himself. I mean, to deal with his career, he's gone from across the board from everything. But I don't know if he's done theater outside of like college and stuff. I don't know if he's done.
I don't think he has.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite Brad Pitt movies is
Mhm.
Legends of the Fall.
Me too. I'm with you. And there was, he had so many misgivings about that movie and so many fights with the director, thinking that it was going to be too schmaltzy and not the way he wanted it to go. And it really came out great. But he fought a lot of battles on that and didn't win. But thankfully the director did, because it was really good.
That and Fight Club.
Have you ever
Yeah. I'm sorry, you love?
Have you ever did an animation, like collab with animators?
I have done voiceovers for animations, but can't say that I collaborated as like an anime character or anything.
Oh no, not necessarily Japanese anime or something, but like any cartoon. You never really did screenwriting for that?
Oh, I've done it for industrials. I've done, because they'll need animations of how things work. And so yeah, I did work with animators to create things like that, but not animation in terms of like movie production.
What do you use for storyboarding?
I use a variety of things, but one of the tools that I've loved is Scrivener, and that's because you can write in. You can keep all your research in there. You can keep pictures. You can keep all of your research and stuff together, and write your script, and create your characters in a different place. So I start with Scrivener, and it's a great way of organizing projects too. But in terms of and there are storyboarding softwares out there, but and they use those a lot for directing as well, and for pitching, so that people can see what they're talking about. They'll do a lookbook, so they'll create those different scenes and feelings of how the story's going to look, so that we give the producers an idea whether they want to put money toward it or not. And also to give people an idea, as you know, Zachary, of the filmmaker's vision of how it's going to look, which is, it's always amazing to me how filmmakers do that, because they have to envision the movie sort of before it's made, and they have to know, what the scene's going to look like and where people are going to stand, and keep all of that, all the logistics of it in mind, while keeping the actors focused on performance and creating an arc with their stories. So it's kind of an amazing process.
Very true. Like,
yeah, but there's something called Studio Binder online, and that's a good way to create storyboards, and other software that you can do. And I think some people just can even do it in PowerPoint. It's to create that lookbook, you basically just need visuals and laid it out to tell the story in a way.
What was your favorite Steven Spielberg movie that he made?
Oh,
If you had to pick
know,
one.
just one. E.T. of
One.
course.
Yeah, mine too. I was gonna say E.T.
Oh
It
no,
has to be E.T.
I did like E.T., but I have to go with the Holocaust one.
Well, that was a very scholarly one, I think.
Yeah, yeah. The Schindler's List.
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. Yeah,
I thought
Schindler's List.
the way he did that was like unbelievable.
Yeah, he's an incredible talent, and he actually grew up across from a friend of mine in Arizona, so he was always making his home movies and stuff when he was a kid. He was doing stuff.
Yeah.
So, and that's how he honed his talents. Just
Yeah.
working with people that weren't actually actors, and creating stories on his own, but he's become brilliant
Yeah.
at it. Yeah.
And the newest one on the block in that same kind of genre, maybe it's J.J. Abrams. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's pretty incredible.
He's incredible, and
I think J.J. Abrams is good, but he's not like a Steven Spielberg or Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh. Now, here's an interesting one. Kenneth Branagh is an actor who also does directing too, and he's done some major I think he directed Thor, didn't he? The Ragnarok.
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't know.
Didn't he
I can
direct
look him
that?
up.
Kenneth Branagh. I mean, it's pretty amazing, the stuff, because he can star in Harry Potter, and he can direct. Harry Potter. He can do
I
a
love
lot of
Harry Potter.
amazing. Yeah. I love do you have a genre that you particularly like? Exactly.
No, I watch everything but horror.
Yeah, I don't like horror either.
It's too predictable.
Too scary.
Predictable. No, it's not scary. It's just too predictable. Like, I saw the movie Us, which is horror, and Get Out, and I just thought they were both stupid. And I figured out both movies like in the first 10 minutes of the first scene.
Yeah. And of course, that's always disappointing because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting for them to catch up to what you already know. But for me, it's too scary. I don't like to watch horror for the visual. It's hard to get it out of your head if you see it.
Isn't it something how you could know like something is gonna happen, or you can even watch it a second time and still be scared, knowing what's gonna happen, because I think a part of it has to do with the way they do the music.
Like,
Definitely.
did you see the remake of It?
That is something I wouldn't watch.
Not the remake. I saw the original.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch. I'm not a Stephen King fan.
So you didn't like Shawshank Redemption or The Green Mile?
I did like those movies, but not horror.
Or The Shining?
The Shining. I can look at it and admire the technique and the incredible vision of the director and how they create that tension in the scenes, but I don't enjoy watching those because I don't like being stressed out in that way.
It wasn't scary at all, The Shining. It was just very unique.
Oh, you didn't think so?
No.
When I still get scared when I see those two girls in the hallway. It's crazy. But yeah.
Did you see This Is Us or Get Out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But those are horror.
They are on a different level. They weren't. Get Out wasn't. I mean that was almost a
It's not a thriller.
High concept. It was a high concept film, and a lot of it was internal because the characters took over other people's bodies and stuff. So for me, it was more science fiction than horror. And that I can watch. I like science fiction.
I've seen science fiction.
Yeah. But
All right, I think we're going to have to wrap it up. It's a little after 4, and
Okay.
Marie hasn't stopped calling me. I really need to get back to her.
okay.
So I'm going to have to stop recording this one.
Okay, but I just wanted to mention I've been trying to get in